Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing great.
How is Canada? Still
Very
um,
cold,
cold and
very cold.
very cold.
Yeah, it's snowing already now, so it's kind of cold.
Okay.
How's everybody doing back in Indonesia?
Hot. It's
How are you
always.
doing?
I'm okay. I'm fine. Getting better after having. I have a heart attack last year,
Yeah,
and I was just like staying in ICCU for 1 whole month
really.
of this heart attack, but I'm
Uh,
getting better now.
with the COVID thing, everything,
The
things are
COVID is
becoming.
not, yeah, it's already getting decreased. The level is already decreased. So now we already have, um, what is that, offline class? Or sometimes we teach in a class already, hybrid.
Okay,
Yeah.
combined everywhere now. It's
Mhm.
becoming new things, new normal.
Indeed. So how is in Canada? How is the COVID in there?
Still, we are doing online classes. Uh,
Ah,
full online, in fact.
full online.
So yeah, actually, they started it this September to in person, but I'm not quite sure now
Mhm.
with this new news again. You know, nothing is certain nowadays.
Indeed. So thank you for your joining us. So it's not only today, it will be last every year. We will invite you to be our guest lecturer. Hopefully you agree with that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. In fact, I do have
And
some new.
I think you are in the evening time, right? In there.
In fact, this is yeah. I'm still in Tuesday, and it's 7:30 in Tuesday evening. You guys are in Wednesday, I think.
Yes, indeed. We are in the 7:30 in the early morning, but our
Yeah.
class only start at 7 a.m. So do not need to worry.
Okay.
It's already
Okay.
normal in our working
That's good to
hours.
know. Okay.
Okay. Is it already complete, Mas Bagas? Our class?
Not yet, Miss. We're still waiting some student here.
Okay. Berapa orang sih kita, Mas Bagas? How many person that we have?
12. 12.
12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Miss.
Wow, you're using a very complete uniform. Proud of you.
Yeah,
Good. Okay. Dan, probably can we wait for more 5 minutes?
Sure, we can do that. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. So we will wait for 5 minutes, Mas Bagas, waiting for others. Mas Kevin, please help me to announce in a class to join with our class today.
for sure, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. So 5 more minutes. Hostnya Mas Igov ke apa? Apa Mbak Adibah?
Adibah, Mom. It's me.
Adibah, would you mind to just like opening song, something like that, and give 5 minutes to wait others to join?
So it's like an instrument?
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. So 5 minutes done. So we will meet you again for the next 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Sure, sure.
this is Gail. My new single, ABCDEFU, is finally out now. Tap the banner to listen.
Halo semua, saya Stefani dari podcast Suara Puan. Podcast ini membacakan puisi, prosa, dan berbagai cerita kehidupan yang tayang eksklusif hanya di Spotify setiap hari Senin, Rabu, dan Jumat. Dengarkan gratis atau download episode kesukaanmu untuk didengarkan kapanpun dan dimanapun.
Okay, I think everyone is already coming here. One by one is already arrived. Okay. Mr. Daniel, are you still in here?
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you. We can start it today. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hi everyone. Especially for IGOV, International Government Department, and also Ilmu Pemerintahan, Prodi Ilmu Pemerintahan. So I also invite several of the students who wants to join in this class, especially for the class, my class actually in the regular program and also international government, international program. Thank you to Mbak Adibah to help me to be the host. And Mbak
It's
Adibah,
okay, Mom.
not only today, also on Saturday, the guest lecture. Don't forget about it. And also special thanks to Mr. Daniel Sium Demoz for having a class today, a special guest lecture today. And we will talk about and we will discuss about the inflations. Actually, this is this week theme, yeah, and it has to be, you have to know what is inflation affected to the business cycle. And Alhamdulillah, we have Mr. Daniel Sium Demoz in here to share the knowledge with you, all of you in here. So Mr. Daniel, today we will have a special moderator. We have Mr. Bagas. Oh, not Mr. Nal, Mas Bagas. he's still young. Mas Bagas to be your moderator, and I will be joining in here since we want to make students learn how to conduct some of the event, especially international event. So I will give the time to Mr. Bagas, Mas Bagas. Time is yours, Mas Bagas.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Mr. Daniel and ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Bagas Korono Rabuyogar. I am from an international program of Government Affairs and Administration, or IGOV. And today I'll be your moderator. And our agenda today is guest lecture with Mr. Daniel Sium Demoz. First, I'll read a little bit of Mr. Daniel's CV. Mr. Daniel Sium Demoz as a college instructor, researcher, and marketing analyst. Top skills: data analysis, research, and lecturing. Certification: first, data science foundation, fundamentals. Second, requirements elicitation and analysis. Third, certificate analysis professional, or CAP. Cert prep domains 1 till 4. And the last one is managing and analyzing data in Excel. And business analyst and project manager collaboration. And then honors awards, first class honor, and then graduated with honors. And the experience: first, mining management unit, Ministry of Energy and Mines, Department of Mining as a social and environmental impact assessments coordinator. Second, Masawa College of Marine Science and Technology as an assistant lecturer and researcher. Third, Noanoy Konkan University as an ESL, or English as a second language teacher. And fourth, BRUKD as an instructor and consultant in research methods and analysis. And then Computech College as a college instructor since February 2021 till present. Okay, Mr. Daniel, we have an hour to you to explain the topic, then 45 minutes to Q&A session. And let's get started. The time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. D, for the special invitation, and for you all. It's a pleasure meeting you here. I'm quite sure you are in your early breakfast. Here I'm in my dinner. I'm still in Tuesday. You are still, I think you are ahead of me. You are in Wednesday. It's kind of a pleasure. This is not my first time, but my second. So I will share my screen, then I will go from there. Okay. So today, I will be sharing with you the concept of like COVID-19 inflation and in Canada, the system. The topic is going to be mixed of both, because nowadays you cannot talk about inflation without COVID. And so I will be trying to explain more about COVID and inflation. But before I go to that topic, I will give you some hints about me. You have already known, I have a bachelor degree in sociology and social work that goes with development management in master's and postgraduate studies in marketing and research. Over the past 15 years of my experience, I have taught as college instructor for 7 years. Currently, I'm working in different colleges and teaching different subjects. Personally, I am a husband and father of 3, and thankfully, since you are sharing with YouTube, my family are also in the other room enjoying the seminar, joining us with me. And something unique about me is that I do love to dive, and I'm a scuba diver, and I love playing chess, just to make things simple, okay? And this was me. On May 2018, I have visited Indonesia, and I came to the university in person, and I have had the chance to see different cultures of Indonesia, different students at different universities. It was one of my memorable moments, and I have seen the kindness and humble welcome of Indonesians. It was one of the days that I really remember. And I'm still also thankful for for Indonesian invitation in 2018. And I really am going to continue with the linkage with both universities if possible, also with UMA. Back to the topic. Before we go to inflation and jumping to Canadian inflation at this moment, it's better to understand. I have to give you something about Canada. And as you said, later we'll have a Q&A time. During that time, please feel free if you have any questions related to inflation, also not related to inflation. I'm happy to assist and try to explain things to you. So bring up your questions and don't be shy. So let's have a hint about Canada. Canada is a Northern American country. Frankly, this is the second large country in the world. With have a borderline to Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans in the both sides. Unfortunately, even though this big country, only 6.8% of the Canadian land is usable for agriculture and other things. If you see up in the top, most of the land is uncovered by snow and very cold. And you wouldn't even find people living in most of the part, and some of the parts it's covered by forest. Understanding economy without understanding governance is impossible. So I'm going to show you how Canada is governed. Canada is still, whether you believe it or not, the head of Canada is the Queen of England. Still, it's governed by monarchy. The Queen of England is the Queen of Canada. And after that, there is the constitutional monarchy, in which different sectors and different province have their autonomous running system. I think you are familiar with this kind of government system. So in Canada, it's run by the Queen, but there is a Prime Minister which follows after cabinet and ministries and territories. And each other territories have their own administrative system. When we come to population, we have the population index that is low birth rate and high or aging population. The average age of Canada is 47 to 48. So as you can see, majority of the people are in the older age and with less birth rates. Canada seems to be kind of more peaceful country and which try to create more international relations. As you can see in the map that is highlighted with different colors, this is the outreach of the Canadian diplomacy, or they have certain diplomatic missions or activities. So it is, it's kind of stretched. It seems to have more friends all over the world. This, so the thing that I'm going to show you on the maps is a lot of graphs. I'm kind of a graph and numbers kind of people. As you have seen on my resume, I am more to numbers than to words. So I will be having more graphs. I hope you go with me. I'll try to explain as much as possible what I'm trying to say. So to understand Canadian inflation and COVID things, we need to know what are the major factors that are running the Canadian economy. So the Canadian economy is predominantly, the GDP of Canadian economy is linked to real estates. You'd be wondering, like most of the people think Canadian main economy is from oil and gas, but Canadian economy GDP contributor is real estates, rental and leasing. You wouldn't find it in many countries that a rental, home rental and other things is a factor, but when it comes to Canada, it has a very large contribution to the GDP, following by manufacturing and oil. I will jump up in here, which is called education service. Also in Canada, education is a source of part of the GDP contributor, because a lot of people come to Canada to learn and to complete their studies. So it's considered one of the big factor contributor to the economy of Canada. Other things can go like construction, health, and public finance. These are the major contributors. And I will send the PowerPoint as well later if you want it. What does Canada export? Export of the country is one thing that determines how powerful a country is, where it links. So based on the development countries, the more the higher the exports, the more the income they get. So generally, Canada exports management, financial, and computers and other things on the top place. Then it exports cars, trucks, and parts, energy products, oil, metal and metallic products. These are the key 4 major things. Also, even though it also exports foods and other things. To which countries is more linked the trade Canada is having? Well, Canada and the United States at some point, they are extremely tied together when it comes to environment, when it comes to language, the culture, and more of what is the economy. So Canada exports its product more to United States because the proximity, we are very close to United States, and there is approximately like 1,500 kilometers borderline linkage with United States. So everything is linked to United States, then goes to European Union countries, China, United Kingdom, Mexico, and the rest of the world contributes this much. So more or less, we can say like every export going to United States. Okay, I think this is a repetition. So what does Canada import? This will determine how the economy is influenced. So what you import is what you cannot produce or most of the time, or what you demand more. So even though Canada have a certain consumption goods was one of the exported things, but Canada imports a lot more consumed foods from different parts of the world. Also, Canada exports motor vehicle. Also, at the same time, it imports a lot of motor vehicles, commercial services, electronic equipment parts are some of the highest contributor to the Canadian import. Again, the same form that it is export its products, Canada imports more from the United States, then European Union, then China, then Mexico, then United Kingdom, and the other parts of the world as well. Generally, this is the balance between what is your import and what is your export. So this will show you whether you are having a surplus or a deficit trade relations. So on the bottom line, if you see, it's like Canada imports more than it exports. So you can see it. There is a deficit trade. It means it's more of a burden to the government. But at some point, it's not that exaggerated deficit when it comes. But as you can see, the energy, the oil is more of a profit, goes high because it exports more than it imports. And the others, commercial services, it exports more. Metallurgic products, it exports more. And farm, fishing, these things, Canada export more. While the other things, more than they export, they get more. It means even though Canada produces more cars, but it imports double or larger than what it exports. That's why it's becoming gives a negative surplus relationship. So I've been talking about Canada. I just want to give you a hint, because sometimes when you talk about other country, you might not get the exact picture. So I'm going to give you small details comparative to Canada versus Indonesia. So it will be a reference for you to relate both countries. So we know, I don't need to explain more about Indonesia, I guess, but you can have a picture. So this is Indonesia in the map, and this is Canada. And if you see, the surface area of Canada is 9 times of Indonesia by size. But when it comes to population, Canada have only 38 million population. That means the population density is very, very low. As I said earlier, even though Canada have a very extensive, large areas, some part of the northern part, it is inhabitable. People cannot live there because it's extremely cold, and the soil is extremely cold that even it cannot grow any crops that can sustain life. So most of these areas are inhabitable. If you think like Canada is on North Pole, Canada is not in North Pole. Most of people, or some people, have assumptions, and Canada doesn't own North Pole, even though it's very close. This moment now outside it's snowy, and the temperature is -1 degree centigrade. So the season of summer, the winter, when it comes, it's very difficult for the people. And even though everything is good in Canada, the weather is what determines how people can live. Okay. So if you see the strengths of the currency, the in exchange rate for euro is equivalent to €1 is 1.5 Canadian dollars. So the Canada is, even though it's not strong as United States dollar, its dollar is equivalent. Usually when we come to the religious beliefs, mostly we know Indonesian is the predominantly Muslim country. Canada seems to be more of a Christian family, including, but all other religions are equally free. Well, they have different, Indonesia belongs to many organizations like the ASEAN, G20, IMF, UN. Also, Canada belongs to distinct groups, okay? Relatively, when we see the key things indicator, when you compare two countries, the first thing that comes is GDP. So when we compare to GDP, there is no big difference between Indonesia and Canada. And per capita, when we come per capita, then that is the difference comes. When we change GDP per capita, means we divide the number of population in that country with the existing GDP. So relatively per capita is higher from Canada. When we come to debts, which is one of the things, even the rich countries have debts. In fact, not only small debts, but extremely large amount of debts. So comparatively, debts in Indonesia and Canada is too different because we are counting in millions. The debts per GDP, if you see it relatively, Indonesia have 36% of its GDP debts, but Canada have 117%. So they have more debts than Indonesia, it seems. If we divide it debt per capita now, because the way we divided GDP per capita, the debt per capita is also indicated. So the country, each individual in Indonesia have approximately 1,000 debt based on the government expenditures and other things. But relatively, when you see in Canada, it's like 50,000 per individual. Okay. And this is the deficit we were talking about, like the trade deficit, the exchange things, the amount that you export, the amount you import. That's the balance that we get. So both of them have deficit in trade, but you can see that it's larger for the Canada. I think that's all for the comparison part. So by now, what I want you to have is, I want you to have a picture, because when we just bring later inflation, it will be affecting or the sum of all these things, the trades that they have, the relationship that they have, the governance, the population, all are factors that can contribute to your expenditure and the inflations. So one of the key things in the past 2 years for the whole world was the case of COVID-19. And when COVID-19 happened, it was like no statistics or no economists have predicted that it's going to happen, these things. It was like for every intellectual person, every statistician, every economist, it was a new thing, unpredictable. Okay. If you remember, if you have touched it in economics, there is certain concept that's called ceteris paribus, when we consider things are constant and we try to assume if things are constant, next year I will have this kind of income or this kind of benefit. But when COVID happened, the controlled one, the controlled variables, things that we used to assume they will be constant, have changed the figure in economics. And due to the uncontrolled variables, things become very much complicated. That's why the whole countries in the world are shaking now. So after COVID, what happened in Canada? So this is businesses in Canada. In normal time, this is 2015, this is 2016. In normal time, businesses open, businesses close, business open, business close for several reasons. Maybe some of the businesses, they're shifting to another country. Some of the businesses get bankrupted. So some businesses close, some businesses open, but the line was constant. Like it was okay. At times it spikes, then it goes back and spikes down, up. So this one is the darker blue is businesses that were opening, and the light blue is businesses that were closing. So it was in balance, which was a healthy economy. But when it comes to 2019 and the concept of COVID, and almost close to 90,000 businesses in number in Canada were forced to close down. Okay, this could be due to several reasons. One and foremost is because of the regulation of lockdown. Everybody, when they were told to stay at home, and like everyone else in the other countries, then several offices and several companies closed, and the small business followed. Okay, so it was a linkage, and it jumped from just nominal 40,000, it doubled like 110% of the original businesses have closed, and it's trying to go down and start up again, but still things are uncertain now. It's not like something that you can say this will happen. So if you see in Canadian businesses, percentage of business that report layoff, the first thing that they have done is laying off their workers. So currently there is a large number of people, they are out of their work. Okay, all sectors combined, there is 45% of the businesses. The first thing that they have done is laying off their workers. Some of them, the highest one, are the hospitality. Hospitality are like hotel, tourism, recreation, and other things. These were the hardly hit part of the business sector, and these were the ones that have laid off almost 70% of their workers. It's not easy money to easy number when we say like 70% of this industry have been laid off. The other things that was laid off is the healthcare and social assistance services, art and entertainment, retail, education, other services. The only things that survived well were the financial and insurance company. They laid only 21%, because most insurance company, they can work it from home. So you don't need to lay off your workers as long as they can work for you from home. So these were the least affected kind of businesses in Canada due to the COVID-19. So what is the government doing with this? How are they tackling these things? The government of Canada have initiated several rules and regulations to help the individuals, to help businesses. Because if you let your businesses go at this moment in this critical time, then even the government or the country will not be able to wake up and move again. So the first thing that they have done was to provide funds to inject the companies with extra money so that they can survive on their loan. I will talk about it later. And they try to decrease to decrease the rent of the company and other things. When I say rent, don't take it simply. When it comes to Canada, you have seen it. The retail, rent, state, those kind of things contribute very large in the GDP of the country. So they were trying to allocate things, make things work. So they have introduced different measures, response plans. Some of them are emergency wage subsidy. So what they do is, even though the worker is not working and the company is not paying the workers, the government will be paying part of the salary on your behalf. So the individuals will get subsidies, the companies will get subsidies so that they can pay their workers even though they are not working or working from home. And with this, they can sustain. Another thing they have done is rent subsidy. Each company or each business have so many houses, offices, rentals, manufacturing, and they pay rent for that. So the government tried to intervene there and try to support them in their rent. There were certain high affected sectors like the tourism and other things. Whether you make it or not, until the COVID is settled, they had difficulty in managing, and so they have introduced a special program where they can get loans and grants based from the government. They also introduced loans and grants for small and medium business companies and co-lending programs with other financial banks. They will lend you. The government will lend some part and other part will lend other things. So all in all, they have done different methods to support the companies. That's why at this moment, with vaccination and other things, people are going back to work. Things are moving, and the businesses are trying to revive. Okay. And at individual level, the government tried to give benefits for individuals. For any laid off individual, if they were working and they were paying tax, they were giving them certain amount of money every month so that people wouldn't get hungry in this critical moment. Also for people who are self-employed, meaning like if you are a mechanic or electrician, if you're self-employed, and if you have lost your job because of COVID, the government will be giving you certain amount of money. So this way or the other, like even the businesses and the individuals are highly dependent on the government. As a governance student, if you see this kind of things, this system in the real world is called not the market base. This is actually more close to social assistance base. Okay, when government intervene, but this time it's COVID, so somehow most of the world country jumped in and tried to intervene and save the businesses. Well, we have seen something about the COVID-19 and we will go to inflation. So how is Canada dealing with inflation at this moment? What is really happening on the top of the COVID-19? Okay. Just to have a common understanding, I am just giving you what inflation means. So in simple term, inflation means just you are buying coffee. I really love drinking coffee. So if you are a coffee lover, then in 1970, you were paying like 25 cents. And every year, if the coffee is the same, but the money is increasing, that's where we say that's inflated. The price is inflated because you're getting the same thing, but every year you are paying more. So it means the market, the business is being inflated or changing. At certain point, if you are buying this amount of food with this much money, then it shows you that the market is totally inflated. So if you go in the world and try to Google or something, countries like Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and other things, you will see there is like 1,000 or 100,000% inflation. Extremely exaggerated number, but it's true. At some countries, the inflation rate is so crazy that there is no graph to measure it. But generally, inflation is between, for most of world countries, the inflation rate is between 1 to 10. Okay. Other than that, if it goes beyond numbers, then it's a crazy number or out of the graph kind of inflations. So if we go to Canada, just go back maybe 40 years and try to see the pattern. So this is how the pattern it looks. So in 1986, definitely most of you, the students, you were not born then yet. So the inflation was like 4.7, and at maximum it reached about 1990 at 5.63. The past 40 years, this was the highest. So it means that this was a nightmare for Canada. With having this much inflation at this time was like, if you go back in your history, okay, no, this was a nightmare time. We had inflation things was in 1990. So things were going up and down, and coming up, this graph is actually projected inflation rate. So as you can see now in 2020, 2022, it's expected to go. And they were just thinking by the year 2024, it will go down, and a little bit being constant. That is actually something to tell. I will discuss later about this one. Having this idea, what happened in the past 6 years is that, as you can see, there is 2 graphs in here. Let me explain. This one is the CPI without gasoline. Okay, and this is if you include the gasolines. Sorry. Okay, so the blue one is the gas, and this one is without the gas. So if you see, it was going up and down, up and down. And in 2000, if you remember the time where we were being locked, approximately in March or April, the inflation rate was very low. All of them were going down. Okay. The reason for this is that you have money and there is resources. Inflation comes when there are short of resources and you have so many money. So it means for small resource, you are paying more money, that is inflation. But then inflation was getting down because in March, April, May, around, so many companies were asked to close down. So including restaurants and other things where they buy raw materials and they process it and sell it to the market. But this time when all these companies were closed, it means you have so many resources. Okay, and usually companies stock for 6 months, and they were dumping their stocks to the market. It means that if you are buying in here 2 apples per $1, then at this moment you are buying 6 apples per $1. But this indicator going to the other direction doesn't mean you are healthy. That doesn't mean that's good. It means that there is something worse is going to come. It's always go down before it goes up when it comes to inflations. Okay. So many companies were dumping. For instance, in Canada, one of the most commonly used commodity is milk, and some farmers, they had so much milk and many companies were closed. Restaurants all downtown in working area were closed and milk, the price of milk was very going down. Okay, so that's why the inflation was down in here. But immediately, if you see, it has done an exponential growth up in here. This is without gas. Okay, this is without gas. It means more foods, more products, more other small things were going up. And at this moment, it's close to 3.5 and still going up higher than it seems. So if you go back to the picture before, having this one is relatively the next high, and it's not stopping here, and it's going, the prediction is it will keep going out of this one. How does this affect to all businesses? Usually businesses, just consider yourself like a small businessman, you yourself. If you have difficulty finding the right amount of materials to do your business, next time you sell your finished product, you will have to increase the price. So everything is linked. Increase in inflation affect individual life, businesses, and other things. So in now I'm making it more smaller. Okay, earlier I showed you many years. This one was 6 years. Now it's only 2 years and including the months. Okay, so this was the inflation rate before COVID. Up and down, small up and down. This shows healthy economic pattern. It's obvious it can go up small and go down. The moment COVID hits, the graph is like unimaginable. It goes down first, then it's going up. Now it's in the projection of the trajectory of the projection is very high because it's doubling itself. It's going high. Okay. So even in the months, as you can see, in February 2021, the past February, March, April, it's going up. Even I saw earlier, before 3 days, the Bank of Canada have projected that it will still keep moving high, even at this month, December, and the months to come. So what's causing this inflation? Why is this happening? Obvious, COVID. But how is COVID affecting us? Well, hoarding. Must have seen these things in marketing. For someone who knows something about economics or in marketing, why were they buying the toilet paper? I cannot have a figure. Because, you know, the last thing that you need when you are in survival mode is a toilet paper. You could have hoarded for food, for water, for maybe batteries, for torch, for light, because it's becoming a question of survival. But somehow the world was shaken by the toilet paper thing, and you have seen it, so many people. But not only toilet paper, people were also hoarding or collecting foods and other things. So the demand was high. So when the demand goes high, then the resources are limited. And if resources are limited, then you need to pay more. For a single apple, you need to pay double. So that could be one of the main thing for the inflation. The other thing is global supply chain issue. Obvious thing, the COVID, what affected is movement of people. So if we limit movement of people in the time of globalization, every single day, billions and billions of monies will be staggered. Okay, so one thing that is like affecting this world is that the issue of supply chain. Things are not being delivered. Things are ordered, are taking too much time. For instance, if you order something from China to Canada, or from Indonesia to Canada, if it's taking months to reach in here, then probably you will not be ordering for a second time. So these things are affecting the product, making the inflation, making things scarce. Okay. Product shortage, yes, we have product shortage. Every part of the world have product shortage now. If everybody is sitting in their home, or if we are making people work in shifts, like instead of having 200 people working for your company now, due to COVID, in Canada, what they are ordering is to work 50% of the labor or 25%. If the COVID goes high, then the number of employee in a company will decrease so that you can have a social distance. So with 25%, your production is going to go low. That's obvious reasons. So people are having a lot of demand, but the production is not there. So that's why we are having the inflation. And still, until the production and the supply chain or relations importing from other countries is not solved, still the inflation will be going. Generally, oil is a factor, not only for Canada, for many countries. Even before COVID, the price of oil was increasing. So if a single coin in the price of oil increases, then every other things increases, starting your energy, transportation, services, service providers, food, and other things. Oil is one of the key factors that shakes the market. So there is a trend in increase or rise of oil in the world generally, and this also could contribute to inflation. What is changing in Canada? Well, according to Statistics Canada, which was published in this 2000 things, the oil price have increased by 32%. Gas oil, even though Canada produces its own oils, but still the oil price is increasing. It's not something controlled by the market. There are some group of people, so they determine how much should be sold for a barrel, and that affects the economy. What is really happening now? Food price have increased by 3.9. Meat price have increased in Canada by 9.5%, and housing costs have climbed by 4.8. So these are the things that actually affect things or commonly consumed in Canada, and that is what's really happening now. To conclude, what is going to happen? Inflation is not something like you can jump to conclude, because to study and understand inflation change in a country, you have to detail and import a lot of data, change in variables, and put it there together and predict. But currently, it seems that Canadian economy is going to upward inflation. It means we are on the beginning of an early stage inflation increase. So you cannot tell how it's affecting them now, but definitely inflation is not a good news, either it's for companies or businesses or government or the individuals, or it's not a good news. But we cannot determine it's affecting this much, these steps, because as we can see, it's climbing up now. So you need more data to say, yes, it's affecting them in this part, but it's there. Generally, it will affect all companies' growth and development. In contribution in the top of the COVID, it will affect negatively. And by the end of the year, the Canadian Bank is estimating it will reach 5% and it will keep going. And at certain points, it will go down. Still, COVID-19 is creating different variants, and this variants also is becoming a concern now, because we are becoming ready to open up for business, and now another variant is coming. Like, things are like uncertain now more than ever. So I hope you have had a certain hint what Canadian economy, Indonesia, and other things. I would really welcome any questions regarding the inflations or topics that I have raised. But for now, that's all I have prepared for you today. And thank you for listening, and I appreciate for your patience. Maybe I was talking fast or slow, but we can come back to them if you have any questions.
Okay,
Back to
Mr.
you.
Daniel, thank you for the great presentation. And now the Q&A session. For anyone who has the question, just raise hand and open the mic, or if you shy, just write on the chat box. And don't worry if you are using Bahasa, I will help to translate it.
I know some Bahasa, you know. Just kidding. Okay. So
I hope you still remember bahasa, some bahasa, Dan.
frankly, my vocabulary is way down nowadays.
Okay, please, everyone.
I think Kevin have raised a hand. And
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Daniel.
good evening.
Before I ask to you in several questions, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Kevin. I am a student of Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta from International Program of Government Affairs and Administration, same like Bagas. My question is about around company and business. I want to ask how a company responds to the inflation, and why do business people have to consider the inflation rate in running their business? What do you think about that? I thank you very much.
Okay. So inflation is when we take it inflation, for instance, in Canada, what they do is there are a group of people who study the inflation. So every day you have to go, for instance, to the grocery and check out how much is one property this year, and you go back again the next year and you calculate, and you take every slight change in price. Okay. For instance, before some years, they used to have data about the old the old like video rentals, video other things, even change in that pattern also. But nowadays, the property or the commodity are changing. People are no more using. So but people are buying more laptops, more tablets, more other things. So this group of study, or this group of people, they need to study year by year what is changing, what price is changing. So understanding the price change is going to help any single company to predict the inflation rate. If you know the inflation rate, usually the companies can plan ahead and understand how this inflation can affect them in a short term and in a long term position. So the Statistics Canada is responsible for studying in inflation rate in Canada. So the consumer index is usually it is studied every single time, and it's made public to the people every 3 months. For instance, the next public disclosure is going to be on December 15. It means they will give them how the inflation or the price index is going to increase or decrease. Based on that, they can project what to do. I hope I have touched what you said. It was like a linkage between companies. Kevin, is it okay, or shall we add more onto it? Is your question answered? Okay, so how about others? Feel free to ask me questions. I really enjoy the Q&A time more than the presentation, because in the presentation it's only one person. This is our time.
Next question from Arik Raffi.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Arik Raffi have some trouble with the mic.
With the microphone. So you can also type it here in the chat box, I think. So I will start asking you questions, I guess. Okay, as I said earlier, maybe do you have any questions regarding Canada too? What do you want to know?
Dia nggak ada respon.
Tes. Good evening, Mr. Daniel. My name is Muhammad Akbar Nugraha Sabarna. I'm from International Program Government Studies. I have a question for you, and the question is, what is the society's role to help government to reduce inflation? Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Okay. Society's role to inflation. As part of the presentation, as I told you, usually mindful consumer is important for the economy. But now in Northern America, what we see is that people are, the more the COVID comes, the more they run to groceries to buy more products. And at some point you see that some of these products, they don't even eat them. They automatically, they expire, or they go to trash. Okay. So on the past 2-3 years, with the COVID things, there were so many food that went to trash than to the belly of people in Northern America. So this shows you like the society is not contributing its part when it comes to buy the things that you need and eat what you have already bought, like wastefulness. So there is extremely wastefulness from my own perspective when I see things, but unfortunately they are not doing anything, because like if you this COVID have made people more kind of the worst part of themselves. High consumers, high demanding, high hoarding, and things are changing, but unfortunately people are not doing what they should be doing. So it's minimal or zero. It's affecting it negatively only. My question is, what action taken by the Canadian government to handle inflation? Okay, thanks in advance.
Thanks, Mr. Daniel.
Okay. At some points, when you see the market, you cannot control it. When government try to jump in and try to regulate the market system, then it changes its same. It becomes a command market. The Canadian is more of market-centered system. So every time, for instance, one of the things that is creating the inflation is oil. So the government cannot say like, oh no, decrease your oil or increase your oil. They cannot say on that matter. One other challenge that they are having is the shipment crisis in the world that we have, and which shipment is being delayed. So that kind of sector is something outside the hand of the government. What they have tried to do was, in fact, when I see it from now, from this point of view, from this year, the moment people were locked in their homes, the government of Canada was more supportive to companies and individuals, giving them handout money. And that kind of money, people, they were not working and they were getting some monies. That also, even if you see it on reality from economic perspective, it have affected the other side, because now economy is opening up and many people, many workers do not want to go back to work. So this kind of things is also affecting negatively. But generally, for whatever reasons which is causing the inflation, the government will not have a chance to intervene due to the standard of their market. Their market is market-based, not, they don't have right to intervene in command system. I think that is the case now, what is happening. The banks of Canada is also trying to decrease the rates, but that is more of link to the Bank of Canada yet. I hope it answered your question.
Okay, thank you, Arik, Raffi, and Mr. Daniel for the answer. And now for the others who need to ask, yes, raise hand or write down on the chat box.
Hello, sir. Um, Let me introduce myself. My name is Salsadila Gwitara Putri, and I'm from International Government Studies. And this is more like a general question, not really related to the inflation or the economy, but I was wondering how is the COVID situation back in Canada? Because when I saw on the internet, in America, they already take off their masks. So how is it then in Canada?
Okay, that's actually a good question. Yeah, our friends in the neighbor, the Americans, are off mask. In Canada, there is one thing, if you Google about Canada, there is about Canadian people, there is one thing that you will learn. The Canadian people are very polite and humble people. Frankly, they are. One day in your life, if you come, they love to say sorry. They even if you bump them, they will say sorry to you. They are kind of people. And one of the good things that they have is they respect the rules. So even though there are some people who say like, no, wearing mask is not our mandate, and they try to move. Majority of the people respect the rules. So other than that, in your home, other than with your family, we always wear masks. We go to shopping, or we go even in the elevators and other things. Everywhere you have to wear masks, and people are still respecting that. So even if you see relatively the death rate compared to America and United States, in Canada is, even though there is too high, but relatively it's lower than that of United States. The people are so fine for their answer.
Thank you, sir, for the answer.
We still have 30 minutes for Q&A session, and for those the other who want to ask, just raise your hand or write down on the chat box.
Hi, everyone. Is there any questions? More questions? If there's no, probably we can close. Mas Bagas. Oh, yeah, we have a questions again more. Kumesa. Okay. I think a lot of people is want to ask a lot of things to you, Daniel. Okay, please.
Relatively from what I have studied comparatively, Indonesia is having lower than Canada inflation at this moment. One of the key things could be based on what we import and export. Canada imports majority of its consumable food from others. As we have said, even though Canada is a large country, only 6 or 4.8% of the country is usable. So when it comes to food, it's very dependent in US, Mexico, and Asian countries, as well as European countries. So when I compare to Indonesia, I think you have more chances because you are in the tropical countries. So the food that you eat is produced more on your own. And if you have chances of to buy extra things, the Asian country around you have more sources on that. So you will not have the same problem like what Canada is having. Okay. So that's the difference. At this moment, the Indonesian inflation rate is much lower than the Canadian. So maybe more we can learn from Indonesia, I guess. Okay. Maybe I wanted to add maybe some more clarification on the ease of life. Let's assume you have $100 US dollars, okay? If you change it into Indonesian rupee, and what can you buy with that $100? And let's assume like you have $100 and you change it into Canadian dollars. And what can you buy in Canada with that $100? So this is the concept of the value of money that I need you to understand. If I have $100 in Indonesia, I can buy maybe food, enough food, maybe some rental for my hotels and transportation and other things. But having the same amount of money in Canada might not enable you to do anything of this, except it will be just 2 or 3 lunches. Okay, so there is always value of money when we change from country to country. It's not like the rate of exchange that determines whether the money is weak or strong. It's always relative to the country's ease of living. So in Canada, even the people get, for instance, the minimum wage of the people that they get in here could be $2,000 per month, $2,000 per month, but house rent only can take 70% of that money from your salary. So it means your living condition could be affected with that. So try to see when it comes to living condition and other things, the relativity of the money with the lifestyle people live. So any more questions? I really encourage you to ask questions, you know that. With entrepreneurship and inflation, when you plan to open a business, the first thing that you need is a buyer. You need to have a client. You need to serve the client. So inflation is crippling your clients. It means, for instance, let's say even small businesses to understand. Let's say you open a barber or something. So the price increase in oil, in commodity, in gas, and other things will push you to raise the price of the product that you are going to sell or the service that you are going to give. So increase in inflation usually discourage clients, limit your number of clients. So you will not be working the way you should be working in the real world. So you will have less profit. The more higher the inflation goes, the less profit you get because the less client will be interested. Inflation discourage clients, consumers. So less consumers means less income or less profit for the companies. So it's directly linked. Increase in inflation, decrease your profit. So inversely linked rather. So if I'm a businessman, I don't want inflation to happen because definitely my benefit will be going down. I hope your question was answered, Octavia.
Okay, thank you for all who has asked, and thank you for Mr. Daniel for all the answers. And before we end this session, I need to take a pic together.
Okay.
And please, everyone, turn on the camera. And maybe some of you want to using some filter. Yeah, just use it. Okay, on my mark, 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you Mr. Daniel for the time and for the great presentation. And maybe we will meet in Indonesia, right? Offline.
Definitely, I would have enjoyed it visiting you in person, like 2018. But with the situation nowadays, let's all be safe, all we are, and take care. Be good.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. And Sigit, my husband, send regards to you. So hopefully stay safe in there. Yeah, stay healthy. And also to everyone who joined this class, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much, Mr.
Okay,
Daniel.
take care. Thank you, and send my all
Concerning others,
regards.
I will contact you personally in the WhatsApp.
Sure. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I
Thank
think
you, Mbak Diba.
My pleasure, Mom Di.